Tim Duncan has always been known as one of the quietest legends in basketball history, a player whose calm personality and steady leadership define an entire era of the NBA. Yet as he reached the later stages of his life and career, fans began reflecting on the emotional struggles and hidden pressures that often came with his journey rather than just the championships and trophies that made him famous. While the public remembers Duncan as a cornerstone of the San Antonio Spurs dynasty, winning multiple titles and earning universal respect for his professionalism, many overlook the deeply personal sacrifices required to maintain such consistency in a fiercely competitive environment where expectations never faded and scrutiny followed every move he made both on and off the court. One of the most difficult aspects of Duncan's life has been the constant balancing act between personal privacy and public fame, as he preferred a low-key lifestyle even while being celebrated as one of the greatest power forwards in NBA history, creating an internal conflict between the desire for normalcy and the reality of living under relentless media attention. After retiring from professional basketball, Duncan faced the emotional challenge that many elite athletes encounter: the sudden loss of routine, identity, and the adrenaline rush that defined decades of his daily life, forcing him to rediscover purpose beyond the game that had shaped him since his youth. The transition from being an on-court leader to mentoring younger players and exploring new passions required patience and resilience, especially as fans and commentators constantly compared his post-retirement activities to his legendary playing career rather than allowing him space to evolve naturally. Over the years, Duncan has also dealt with personal disappointments and the natural ups and downs that come with relationships, career transitions, and the pressures of maintaining a legacy that few athletes could ever match, all while striving to protect his inner circle from the harsh spotlight that often targets high-profile figures. Many observers have noted that his reserved personality sometimes caused people to misunderstand him, assuming distance or indifference when in reality he was simply someone who valued humility and authenticity over flashy public attention, a trait that both endeared him to true fans and occasionally isolated him within the louder culture of professional sports. As he moved further away from the daily grind of the NBA, Duncan embraced quieter roles, including coaching and mentorship, where he could pass on lessons learned from years of discipline, teamwork, and perseverance. Yet even these roles carried emotional weight as they reminded him of the era that had ended and the teammates who once stood beside him during unforgettable championship runs. The emotional side of retirement also involved watching the game evolve rapidly, seeing new generations of athletes dominate headlines while he transitioned into a legacy figure, a shift that can feel bittersweet for someone who spent decades at the center of the action. Despite these challenges, Duncan has remained a symbol of integrity and resilience, showing that true greatness extends beyond trophies into how a person navigates change, loss, and personal growth. Fans who view his story through a compassionate lens recognize that the real tragedy is not scandal or sensational drama, but the quiet emotional journey of adapting to life after global fame, while carrying the weight of expectations built over an extraordinary career. His experiences remind audiences that even the most composed and successful individuals face moments of vulnerability and reflection, proving that behind every legendary athlete is a human being learning how to redefine purpose once the cheering crowds fade. Ultimately, Tim Duncan's story is less about heartbreak in the dramatic sense and more about the universal struggle of transitioning from one chapter of life to another, finding meaning beyond professional identity, and discovering new ways to contribute to the world while honoring a legacy that will forever remain etched in the history of basketball.